Ready? Then I'm ready. Hello, good morning. Thank you for joining Leap Africa at the first edition and first ever virtual press conference in honor of our initiative, Youth Day of Service. And on the panel with me today are our collaborators. But first, I will start with the representative of the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Oluwakemi and Melody Ariola, the Special Advisor and Corporate Relations to the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports Development of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And on the table, we have Femi Taiwo, the Executive Director of Leap Africa. Online, we have online we have Folawe Unikunle of Teach for Nigeria, the CEO of Teach for Nigeria. Molade Adeni, the CEO of WAVE. We have Tayo Oloshunde, the Executive Director of Mind the Gap. And finally, we have Odwola Yinka, actually, Osunloye, the Director of Marketing and Innovation of Junior Achievement Nigeria. Thank you very much. And with this, I welcome you and I hand over to the Executive Director to give the welcome remarks. Femi Taiwo.
All right. Good morning. Let me first of all thank the Honorable Minister of Youth and Sports Development of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Mr. Sunday Dare, ably represented by Oluwakemi. The Special Advisor, ICT and Corporate partners, press conference, and to the general public, welcome to this wonderful press conference. We're grateful to have you. Here. It's my honor to do of service to our distinguished media friends and to the general public at large. The Youth Day of Service is an annual event kickstarting this year to celebrate youth agency, youth creativity, and youthful energy towards actualizing and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. We are championing this because, like we know and like the world knows, and like the UN even recently also reaffirmed, that if we're going to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals in this decade, we have to leverage the skill sets, the energy, the agency, the voice, and the numbers of young people. With other ecosystem partners, we believe strongly in the power of young people. We believe strongly in the ideas young people have. And we feel a very good way to celebrate young people on the globally recognized International Youth Day will be to celebrate the energy and the creativity through service and through action. So that's why we're here today. And we're very happy with the effort by the development partners present here and others not present here. And we believe strongly that together we can do bigger and better things as it relates to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and as it relates to supporting young people in our country and in our continent at large. We have a decade of action ahead of us. This 2020 to 2030 is the only decade we have to actualize the SDGs. And to do this and to achieve this, we need everyone, all hands, all hearts, all heads on deck. We need the private sector, the third sector, and the public sector working together hand in hand to accomplish this very big task. We need to make sure we coordinate our efforts even more. We need to make sure we collaborate even more. As I even reflect on the journey ahead of us, I remember a statement made by Mother Teresa where she said, "I can do things you cannot, you can do things I cannot, but together we can do great things." And this is what this represents. It's an effort of different partners, different stakeholders. We're doing a small, softer launch of it, given the situation of this year, the COVID-19 pandemic. But this is the beginning of something big. This is the beginning of something great. This is the beginning of a huge effort to rally young people and rally youth agency towards solving the problems in their communities and towards creatively and sustainably achieving the Sustainable Development Goals over the next couple of years. So I just want to say thank you again, even as I hand over to the moderator, Kenny. And thank you to the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development for their support. And a very big thank you to my colleagues in the development space who are working very hard with their different initiatives and their different organizations. So thank you, Bolade of WAVE. Thank you, Tayo of Mind the Gap. Thank you, Ojola of Junior Achievement Nigeria. Thank you, Folawe Online of Teach for Nigeria, Live Your Dream Africa, Rotimi of Beauty of Africa, and all our other colleagues, Yaga and other colleagues doing great work out there. Together, we're going to do greater, basically. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kemi Taiwo, for the very warm welcome remarks. Kemi, if you're on standby, this is where I'm going to call on you to give the remarks on behalf of Mr. Sunday Dare. If you can hear us, we would like you to go live now. Kemi, you're welcome and you have the floor. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. May I just get some indication that you can hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yes, indication. Okay, brilliant. I just wanted some indication that you could hear me. It's awesome. We're having this press conference this morning, and I'm honored to be here representing the Honorable Minister. I feel this is, the Honorable Minister feels this is a wonderful initiative. As you've said, and as we've read in the documentation provided by Leap Africa to the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, this is the maiden edition of the Youth Day of Service, but it's something that we have to commend due to the fact that, as you've said, government cannot do it alone. We need help from NGOs, private sector organizations, just like yourselves that are present in that room. We have 60 million young persons to deal with. And even if we decide to bring out initiatives that we want to cascade or filter down to all nooks and crannies of Nigeria, we cannot get to every single one of them. And we know that partnering with organizations such as yourself facilitates everyone being able to benefit from what the Ministry of Youth and Sports are doing, as well as what your organizations are doing. So I must commend everyone on that panel or represented on that panel for the idea of putting this together and all the efforts that are being into driving it to ensure that it is a success. Youth engagement in active citizenship is very important. We cannot build our nation, we cannot build Africa, we cannot build something for our future if we don't get everyone involved. Collectivity is key. And we commend the fact that your organization is helping to share this message through the Youth Day of Service. It's an initiative that we wish we thought about ourselves, but it is great that you have thought of it and we can collaborate with you on this. The ministry is collaborating with a number of organizations, Mind the Gap, Junior Achievement Nigeria, and many other organizations. The ministry is up for collaborations because we keep saying we cannot do it alone. So if we see organizations that are out there that are doing great things, we wish to continue collaborating with them because governance is a continuum. We want to ensure that the MOU signed between ourselves and your organizations is something that is binding for a long time, or something that can be worked upon for a long time. So even when the Honorable Minister, Mr. Sunday Dare leaves office, we can still continue these partnerships and we can still continue to do the good work that we are currently doing, because it's not just us, it's us and you. Our young people need you. There are a number of initiatives that the ministry is implementing. We have our DEAL initiative, which is the DEEL, which is Digital Literacy and Skills Acquisition, Employability, Entrepreneurship, and Leadership. We have so many, we have a great number of initiatives under this particular program, if we call it that will benefit our young people, but they need to commit themselves into serving themselves as well as serving their nation. That is the only way we can achieve whatever it is we are trying to achieve. We need to upskill them in many areas, not just only the education area. So we like the idea that we bring in a number of added advantage options to them, which is obviously one of them is this Youth Day of Service. The ministry has recently launched a website called noya.ng. If you visit noya.ng, or our young persons visit noya.ng, they will see a lot more of the initiatives that we have for the young persons and a lot more of the collaborations that we continue to try to do, but we are listening. We do have a listening ear. We always want to hear from your organizations, whatever ideas you have that you feel can benefit our young people. We're ready to listen to you, and we're ready to work with you. So thank you so much, Leap Africa. Thank you so much, Mind the Gap. I think it's Teach for Nigeria as well. I see here any other organizations that are involved in developing our young persons. The minister and the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development says, thank you so much. And we want to continue to have these wonderful collaborations between our organization and yourselves. Thank you so much. So do we move on to the endorsement at this point?
Yes, please. Keep going, Kemi.
Okay, great. I thought I was talking a bit too much, but that's fine. I love talking, as we all know. The ministry endorses this Youth Day of Service, and as I said in the beginning, we wish it was actually our own initiative, but we're chuffed to work. We wish we thought of it, but since you guys said, you are us, you are part of us, and we thank you so much. We endorse this initiative, and we have a final call to the general public. We want to ensure that every young Nigerian gets to hear about this. We will do everything we can via all our mainstream media, social media, everything we have access to ensure that every young Nigerian gets to hear about the Youth Day of Service, but not only gets to hear about it, but also gets to get involved in the Youth Day of Service. And we hope that it can bring about a better future for our young people as well as for Nigeria at large. Thank you so much and have a good morning.
Yes, innovation is right in order. Thank you so much for a very inspiring speech from your end, representing the Federal Minister of Youth and Sport Development. Thank you for the commitment of the ministry to this initiative. Thank you for the commendation and the several initiatives that you are running through the ministry. So thank you and thank you and thank you once again. We are happy to have you as a partner. We're happy to have you as a collaborator. And thank you to all our online guests and the media who are actually watching at this particular time. We welcome you and are grateful for your time. This is where it gets a bit more dynamic, and we are going to open the panel up for more interaction and more engagement from our partners. But I'm going to call on Femi Chalo first to also speak, and then we move from Femi to the other collaborators on the table regarding why this initiative is a must-have for us as global citizens, as people who are determined to do greater for the benefit of the nation. And so this is where I yield to Femi Chalo. Please, over to you.
All right, thank you so much, Penny, and thank you so much to the ministry for that wonderful remark and also for the endorsement. I'm really, really grateful. So we're here for the Youth Day of Service. The way we conceive it, and I say we because it's even beyond Leap Africa, is such that every year, as part of celebrating the International Youth Day, which would always have different themes, we're committing for the next decade to ensure that every year, the week of the International Youth Day, youth-led organizations, youth-focused organizations, and young people across Nigeria and even outside Nigeria are rallied to solve problems and to advocate for the SDGs. And just like I said, this is a low expression of that dream and that vision, given the constraints of that we have with the COVID-19 and social distancing. But it's interesting to know that we already have amazing early adopters and collaborators on this project already. And so that there is a portal online, the Youth Day of Service, yds.leapafrica.org, where we already have close to 50 plus projects spread across all the length and breadth of Nigeria, different projects. The one me I'm particularly volunteering on that day is painting some schools in Lagos. I mean, so kids are out of school right now, but by the time they are coming back to school, they'll be seeing a better school, right? So that's one project I'm volunteering on. And that project I'm volunteering on is engaging like 90 other volunteers because it's a big school. And from what I heard, the school has not been painted for the past 10 years. So instead of us just focusing and just talking about problems, or young people just highlighting problems and using hashtags, one of the key hashtags we are propagating and one of the key messages we are propagating with the UD of service is youthful and useful. We believe that young people can be useful and are useful and can be responsible for the change they want to see in their society and in their community. And that's what the Youth Days of Service is all about. Young people can start a project or they can volunteer for an existing project. So we have series of projects already on that portal. For instance, we have a group of young people teaching other young people how to code throughout the week of the Year of Service. We have people doing COVID-19 relief efforts. We have people reaching out to prisons. We have people planting trees. We have people cleaning gutters. So whatever projects young people can conceive across and around the 17 goals are welcome. So, but beyond what young people are doing, we also have our individual partner organizations who have to also institute a project for that week and rally the young people around them, around their constituencies to solve problems within that project. So that's the core, basically, for organizations to launch projects or to support existing projects, or for individuals to launch projects or to volunteer for existing projects. For instance, I know Mayor Paints recently decided to contribute all the paints that will be needed for all the painting projects that will be done in Lagos and Abuja, and that young people have already initiated. I mean, that's exciting because the paints that are going to be required to paint the schools, to paint the orphanages, and all the paint projects that are ongoing are going to run to some millions, right? And one organization has decided to volunteer. So we welcome organizations, we welcome individuals to find a way to plug in. You know, we know that this year is unique. This year, everyone is already stretched out because of COVID-19 in terms of their giving, but you can give in little ways. You can give, if it's water you can offer to those who are volunteering, you can offer water, right? If it's the initiative you already are doing, you can just, structure it to happen on that week and allow other people to participate, basically. So I'm hand over to Kenny, or should I just hand over straight to?
Yes, if you can hand over to Folawe, she's online, can join us. All
right, Folawe, are you ready online? I'm going to hand over to you. So basically, you can just speak to how the organization generally is tackling the Sustainable Development Goal, then specifically how your organization is participating in the UD of service.
Thank you very much, Femi. Good morning. I hope you can all hear me. Good morning, Honorable Minister for Youth, and good morning to all of the partners. I stand on existing protocol, and I'm just truly excited to be here this morning. I'm Folawe Omikule, and I work for an organization called Teach for Nigeria. And Teach for Nigeria is tackling the SDG 4 goal. And we're doing this in a very unique way. We're ensuring that children who come from underserved communities and poor communities have access to quality education. And we do that through galvanizing our young Nigerians, promising young Nigerians to teach for 2 years in underserved schools. But the idea is we know that the task at hand goes beyond just 2 years. The task at hand needs leaders who are committing for life, to the issues and to the challenges facing education. And so what we're doing is we're unleashing the leadership and unleashing the agency within our young Nigerians to tackle the different issues facing education. And today I'm truly excited that we're launching this and really excited to be partnering with Leap Africa on this effort. And most importantly, because a lot has happened, but not a lot has changed. And when I think about this day, when I think about the Youth Day of Service, it's a day to remind all of us of the task ahead of us. It's also a day for us to recommit to action. We have 10 years to go, but 10 years might seem far away, but given the complexity of the issues that we need to address, 10 years is literally going to be like tomorrow. And so, we need a critical mass of our young people committing to serve and act to change the trajectory of our nation and to change the trajectory of Africa. When I think about Nigeria and the critical role that we play in terms of reaching the Sustainable Development Goals, Nigeria is ground zero. And so if Nigeria fails, the entire world fails. And I think it's important for us to truly understand that urgency and that role that we need to play. So at Teach for Nigeria, we're galvanizing our 206 fellows, including 44 alumni, and our entire community to contribute towards the project and the initiatives that are already listed on the Leap Africa platform. There's some of the fellows who are already committing to painting schools like Femi mentioned. There's some of the fellows who are also saying, you know what, the communities and the families of kids that we teach are really hungry. How can we support to get food and palliatives, you know, to as many people in this community as possible? And I also just wanted to say that this is just the beginning. This shouldn't just be a one-week event or a one day, but I'm hoping that this will spur a long-term action in really achieving our goals for sustainable development. Thank you so much, Femi. And I think that's my reactions and thoughts from Teach for Nigeria.
Thank you, Folawe. Thank you so much, Folawe. Glad to hear that your fellows and alumni are doing projects that are of interest to them. Really excited. So I guess we'll hand over to Molade of Wave Academy.
All right. Good morning, everyone, or wherever it is that you're joining us from. In this age of virtual world, you could be anywhere in the world listening to us today. So welcome. And yes, I'm super excited to be here. My name is Molade Adeyemi. I work with an organization called WAVE. At WAVE, we are tackling the SDG 8 around decent work and economic growth. We build an ecosystem that supports young people aged 18 to 35 on employability skills. So very much in line with what the minister is doing with the DEAL project on the arm of employability. We support them with employability skills. These are underserved young people. And then we connect them with work. Because it's one thing to have the skill, it's another thing to have work. I wanted to quote an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I think that is the essence of why we're here today. If we want to truly begin to have impact, if we truly want to achieve, the milestones that we've all set for ourselves, including the SDG, we have to do it together. There's only so much one partner or one individual can do, but together, we can also achieve greater. When we also look at the statistics, it shows that 60% of the African population is actually young people under the age of 25. That means that this is a group of people, it's a force to be reckoned with. And if we do not actually begin to step up, stand up, give them the ability and the opportunity to exert themselves, to truly show what they're made of, I think we'll be doing ourselves a complete disservice entirely. So young people, I love young people across various platforms. When I finally sort of found that niche, I figured that this is really what my passion is. So I'm always excited talking about young people and supporting them to greatness. Now, what will we be doing at WAVE? We have already mobilized our over 3,000 alumni, our staff strength as well of 40, to start looking at some of the projects that have been posted on the website as well. But there are youths who are coming up with some amazing projects, looking at feeding people in their immediate communities, looking at even cleaning up. I think one of the things that we need to appreciate at this time as well is with more people at home and not really going anywhere, there is an increase in possible, sanitary is not as good as it should be. So we're looking at young people who are saying, I'm going to spend the day just cleaning the entire, my entire community with a group of people. There's exciting things going on. And as Folawe said, I think it has to go beyond 1 week. It has to go beyond 1 day. It needs to become a lifestyle. It needs to become something that people just do as part of the things that they do. And that is the only way we can truly begin to see the impact, truly begin to achieve the SDG goals. I also agree, 10 years is not a long time. I think we were sitting here and saying 20 years, 15 years, and now we're at 10 years. If we don't pick up the pace, if we don't truly become intentional with the things that we do, I think 5 years will still be yesterday. It's 5 years to go. So yes, thank you very much, Leap Africa, for inviting us to collaborate on this. We're super excited to be a part of this. Thank you very much to the ministry for endorsing this. I think, when we have that level of endorsement, it's almost like the sky is the limit, and we can truly begin to achieve greatness. So I'm super excited, and I cannot wait to see some of the amazing things that are going to come out of this. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Molade. So we'll hand over to Tayo of Mind the Gap.
Okay. Well, now, this is one of all those times when I just go, it's not about words, tonight, it's about action. but basically, it's a privilege to be here at Leap Africa. I just want to appreciate the Honorable Minister for your unrelenting commitment and support to youth development. We've never had this good. I mean, just yesterday, you led in the training of a couple of young leaders, for a 2-day training. That has never happened before. Been around for a while in this space. So to have you also endorsing this program and the ministry backing it all up, it's something that we think it's a new day in youth development in Nigeria. So at Mind the Gap, basically, in terms of the goal that we are passionate about, number one is goal 8, but over time we're gradually moving to goal 17, which is all about partnership for the goals. And that is why, our interventions have been more around, the national youth policy of the Federal Ministry of Youth, to really create a platform where we can, connect the SDG with the youth policy, with all the activities that all the other partners are doing. And so what Leap Africa is doing today is testimonial to the need to there to be a whole lot of collaboration. Because what we've had so far, it's been a whole lot of working in silos all over in the place. And as a result of that, there's been a lot of activity that has not been galvanized towards, more like kind of a calculated outcome. But with this kind of collaboration we're having, it's going to help to really know how far we've gone with the goals, which who is doing what where, and how are we able to track, some of the achievements that have been done so far. So in terms of what is going to happen during the Day of Action for Young People, we have close to about 17 of our big businesses that we're currently incubating, who have also looked for some project they wanted to do and support. I was talking to a couple of them yesterday. I said, okay, which projects are you doing? You know what? Why don't you just support a couple of other projects that's already, going on well? So we are going to be supporting a whole lot of all these businesses, projects, especially in the area where we have expertise in the area of digital skills. And we are going to do a lot of massive publicity for all the projects. Because one of the things you also find out that is also lacking, in our space is a lot of, visibility. So the idea is to ensure we give massive visibility to every program that is going to happen on that day, so that even some of all those programs that can go beyond just that week can begin to actually get the attention of who matters, within the sector and everywhere. So it's exciting to be here. So in Keyword, we're going to be giving voice to all the projects. In terms of, I told our guys, every project that is working more strength, right? Which means that we're setting up a structure to ensure that every program, once we have it online, we ensure that it actually gets amplified, so that subsequently after that, there can be some acceleration that will go into the program. So it's a privilege to be here and to be sitting down actually with all these giants that have been doing this work all the while. I mean, Leap Africa, they've been there forever. To call all of us to come and be a part of this, I think it's a privilege and it's great to be here.
Okay, thank you so much, Tayo. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to hear how you guys are plugging in and putting your weight in terms of visibility and publicity. So I'm going to hand over to Odola. In fact, even longer than Leap Africa is junior achievement. I'm a Leap alum and Jan alum. So we're excited to have Odola here representing Junior Achievement Nigeria. So over to you, Odola.
Thank you very much, Femi, and thank you very much to the entire team for putting this together. This is such a commendable initiative that you're doing, especially during COVID, where we see lots of youth just at home, not really engaged because of the popularity of this today. For us at Junior Achievement, like Femi said, we've been around a long time. We've been around 20 years, and we recently hit our 1 million student milestone. For us, yes, but for us, it's more than it's more than words. It's what we're doing, and with the Youth Day of Action, we're looking to engage our current students that we have, pushing financial literacy, digital literacy, entrepreneurship, and work readiness. And we're using this period to fully engage students on the importance of entrepreneurship. We see that lots of the businesses that are thriving and continue to thrive during COVID were businesses that were built flexibly enough to accommodate any kind of peculiarity that the economy would throw at it. So we're seeing a lot of young people starting businesses during this period, food businesses, different sorts of businesses. We're engaging our secondary school students to start businesses, to think about entrepreneurship entrepreneurship as a means to solve problems in their communities. And we've seen so many innovative businesses come from this. For me personally, I'm a junior achievement alumni. I participated in this program I'm talking about when I was in secondary school a few years ago, like 5. And the kind of businesses we set up when I was in school and the kind of businesses that are being set up now, the gap is wide, and it shows how much times have changed and the way students are being taught and the way they're thinking about solving problems. It's no longer, oh, we just want to make money. I remember in school we set up a food stand to sell toothpaste, and when I joined Junior Achievement as a member of the team and the staff, the business that was set up that won the Company of the Year program was a gas leakage detector to prevent gas explosions at home. It shows there's been this growth. It shows that when you continue to engage the youth, you see solutions to problems that the community is facing. So this initiative by youth, just engaging the youth to come together and propose solutions to key into existing solutions that are being worked on by different organizations. It's really commendable, and I also want to thank the Ministry of Youth and Sports. For us at Junior Achievement, we're also partnering with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and to just see how wide they've cast their nets and working with so many different organizations to ensure that they stay true to their mandate and they give the right support and the right kind of endorsement during this period is very, very, very commendable, and we're very appreciative of their support and of the support of all the other organizations sitting here. We're excited to be part of the Youth Day of Service, and we're going to keep the torch burning. We want to ensure that our over 1 million students, our alumni, current students, teachers, everybody does something. Because it's our company program, which will then key into our lead camp, sponsored by Union Bank on the 17th to the 21st, and then going from there. What businesses can they start? How are they thinking about financial literacy? How are they thinking about work readiness and digital skills? So thank you very much, Lee. We're very proud of what you're doing.
Thank you, Dola.
Thank you so much to my esteemed panelists for doing such a great job of sharing how they are invested in youth development across Nigeria. Now, this is where we would invite questions from the media, from our press in the room and those online, for our guests in the room and those online. So if you have questions, please, this is where it gets more interesting. Over to you.
So do you want to start?
All right, sure. Yes. Yeah. All right. Hello. Hi. Good morning. So my name is Tomanjo, and I'm from Bob Central.
How do we want to do? Sorry, how do you want to do that?
So she's visible.
You
can stand up.
Physically, and you can just introduce the media part of it.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Tomanjo, and I'm here to represent Bob Central. And particularly, I'm very excited about the fact that it's and young people are very significant when it comes to achieving milestones. Yes. I know for one, I have to study sustainable developmental goals. The first time I was introduced to it, I was like, oh, is this going to be achievable in the next couple of years? And now we're like just 10 years away from it. And I can see that we're actively making efforts towards attaining the sustainable developmental goals and making sure that youth are actively involved. I would like to first start with Africa. I know that the Youth Day of Service initiatives from next week people all across Nigeria, setting up individual projects and other people volunteering at certain projects. How do you think a regular youth that has interest in wanting to volunteer can jump on the project at the moment?
Okay, so I think the portal is like the rallying point for all the projects. So any young person that wants to jump on the project, just go to the portal. It's www.yds.nipafrica.org. And when you get there, it's quite intuitive. You can either sign up to volunteer for an existing project. You see a list of projects across different cities, or you can click on the button to initiate a project. Then you become a project leader, and other people will be rallying around you.
Okay, that's amazing. So for a young person that wants to start up a project, let's start individually. Is there a timeline or a project design for how to source for funding and take the project from just there? And because I believe that project is supposed to be sustainable, so beyond having an idea, year and starting something.
Is it
Supposed to think
what
about
happens
4 years from
after
now, how can I maintain this
August 12th,
traction?
or what
And of course,
happens after
reach out to many
2030?
more people. How can young people that are joining this project sustain it over time? So beyond youth stay of service, how can they take this initiatives further than this moment?
All right, so there are two ways to answer that. First of all, we've not put the burden of sustainability on projects on young people. It's more about them engaging and doing something. In fact, we try to help them scope the project within what they can achieve within that week, right? And like my colleagues have said, they do that 1 week or maximum of a week-long project, and they go with the mentality and with the lifestyle of contributing to sustainable development goals. That's one. Secondly, one of the reasons why we're working amongst ourselves and amongst existing structures, and all of us are talking about our alumni and our beneficiaries, because those guys are sustainably thinking of ways to solve problems sustainably, right? So you will find projects that are, so for instance, some of the projects, we have some of our alumni, Leap Africa's alumni that are doing projects. We have Mama Money, right, who works for women, right? We have Teens Can Code, who is organizing the training program. So these are organizations, social change organizations who are not just doing projects during that week, but their social impact work continues post. But they are using this week to engage more hands and engage. So that's another pathway to sustainability, right? But for those young people who might not have those structures, just jump on something that week or initiate something that week. And I tell you that once you taste, what all of us have tasted about solving problems and adding value, you won't go back. You'll be thinking about how you can do something even more sustainably.
So essentially, you're saying that it's becoming a lifestyle. So you're trying it for 1 week, you learn how to solve problems and actively contribute to your community. I'll also like to ask, so the tag for Leap Africa is using leaders and transform Africa. And I know that change essentially starts from you and what is to make it contribute to the environment. How do you think you at the moment can actually consciously contribute to the progress of Nigeria as a country in COVID-19 era?
Okay. So young people are in different phases of their lives. So, it's not homogeneous. We have young people working in private sector, public sector, third sector. We have young people in different kinds of academic institutions and levels. But one thing that joins all of us, and one of the key messages we pass across in Leap Africa is that starting from where you are, you can start leading. Leadership is not about titles, it's about the value you add, it's not about position, but it's about the contribution you give. So there are 5 T's we always recommend for young people to start contributing to solving problems in their community. So the first thing you can do is give your time, right? So give your time, to platforms like what Wave is doing, what Leap Africa is doing, what Jan is doing, what Mind the Gap is doing, what other organizations, what Slum to School is doing, and other organizations are doing. Go and volunteer, give your time. Now, the second thing is give your talent. Can you sing? Can you write? Can you draw? Can you act? All of your talents can be deployed and are meant to be deployed to adding value to other people and serving other people. And there lies your leadership, service, serving people with your talent. Another thing is give your thoughts. You have ideas. Brainstorm for change. Participate in hackathon. Contribute your ideas to those who can implement it. Or volunteer your ideas. Or work on your ideas. So your thoughts. Then your treasures. You see, the power of crowdfunding is such that if everybody donates 100 naira, that can go a long way. I remember we went to a school some years back, and this school, from the fence to the buildings was just terrible. And I was talking to the new prefect, and I was telling them, do you guys know you can transform the face of your school? Do you know you can paint your schools and your classroom? Do you know you can plant those trees? But the only reason why you've not done that is because you guys have not thought about it. Or you've not seen yourself as people that can do it. And I asked, how many students are in this school? And they told me 3,000 plus. And I told them, how much do you think it would take to paint this fence? We figured it out, right? And it came down to all the students donating 150 naira. Now, that might be difficult for some students, but think about it. Many people can donate 100 naira. So if we all contribute our treasures, the little we have, to tackle the problems that we are frustrated about. That's going to go a long way. So your time, your talent, your thoughts, your treasures, and your tools. So just like you're doing in Pop Central, you're donating your tools, your TV platform. You're donating. So can you donate your space? Can you donate whatever tools you have access to, to help us facilitate the transformation of our nation, right? So that's one way you can participate. Everyone can participate. Trust me.
That's very helpful.
Yeah.
So beyond actually participating in events and volunteering, how can people join online and actually follow the process through the type of projects going across Nigeria? And I'd also like to know what project are you looking forward to seeing the agenda?
All right, so I'm personally volunteering in a school painting effort so that project is quite massive. The school is very big. You know, one of the things we're very mindful of is the health and safety requirements of this season, COVID-19 season. So we have limits for each project, depending on the scope, the size, and the social distancing. So the project I personally am volunteering on is one of the school painting efforts in Lagos. So we're painting a school that's not been painted in almost 10 years. Right, so it's going to engage 90 plus volunteers spread across the entire community. We're painting close to 20 classrooms inside and outside, beyond those, we have some Mayor Paints is donating some painters to help us make sure we perfect the painting, because all of us are amateur painters, right? So that's one of the most exciting things. So for you to participate, in fact, one of the things we said in the portal is that you don't have to participate only in in a physical project. You can participate virtually, right? Yeah, so you can amplify the voices. One of the new things that we will launch early next week is an hashtag called Youthful and Useful. So you can participate by doing a spoken word poem. So we have some poem that some volunteers have already created that we're going to be publicizing. So you can also, if you can rap Youthful and Useful. If you can write about Youthful and Useful. So you can participate in different ways. You can start a virtual advocacy of the SDG of your interest. So you can participate you can even help to trend the hashtag. So what's the hashtag again, my people? Youth Day of Service, right?
Youth for SDGs.
And Youth for SDGs. So the hashtag for the day is Youth for SDGs. Youth, then number 4, SDGs, Youth for SDGs, and Youth Day of Service. So you can participate by jumping on those hashtags or follow at Youth Day of Service on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and even on LinkedIn, actually. And of course, follow the efforts that have been implemented by other organizations, Jan, Leap Africa, Mind the Gap, Wave, Teach for Nigeria, and other people.
Thank you very much. Hi, Olara. I'd like to, so you said something about ESG and being very affiliated with SB8 and creating opportunities for young people to get jobs and also create opportunities in Nigeria. And you made mention of the fact that this is something that they have been doing for a while now, and they're trying to contribute to creating opportunities for young people in Africa. What do you think young people now or youth in Nigeria can actively do to support up their skills? And what are your top 3 skills that everyone should have now in these?
I like that question.
Okay, so the first question is, what can young people do to actually get this? So I think we're actually in a very interesting area. What COVID-19 has actually done for us is it has broken down barriers, it has broken down boundaries. So some learning that you may not otherwise have had access to, all of a sudden have access to it. There is an influx. Young people, the first thing that I always say is you need to be willing to learn. There needs to be a willingness to actually learn a new skill. You need to first of all be able to identify, what do I not know? It's about being self-aware. How do I ask myself, what do I know? What do I not know? If I'm not self-aware, it means that it doesn't matter what is going on around me. I will always think I have arrived, or that I'm everything and a slice of bread, like they say. So the first thing is be self-aware, understand what skills I have and what skills I don't have, and then be ready to unlearn. So a lot of us have learned many things through various stages of our lives. And I have to say personally, there are many of those things we need to unlearn because they're not going to get us to where we need to get to. But you can only know what you need to unlearn if you've gone through that own self-awareness process and you ask yourself, okay, let me critically appraise what it is that I can do and what it is that I'm able to do. So I like to use this term of, we need to unlearn, we need to learn, and we need to relearn as well. So that's what the young people need to do first of all. But be willing. You need to have a willing heart to say, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror. So you know how it is when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm going to look at all the imperfections and I'm going to not run away from those imperfections, but I'm going to face them head on. Now, when you talk about top 3 skills, so degrees are good. But what we're finding more and more is employers are not so interested in these credentials anymore. They're looking for what are your soft skills that you do have that you're bringing on board? So I'm not saying don't go to school to get those degrees. If you have the opportunity, please do so. But as you get those, you need to complement them with some other, we call them employability skills. And I think one critical skill, everybody's going to talk about digital skills, so I'm going to pack that to one side. Digital skills is important, especially as we move into, this new era. It's either you see those hashtags that says innovate or die. So either you're going to get those digital skills or you're not. But let's put digital skills aside. And I think one critical thing that employers are looking for right now is your critical thinking ability. So nobody wants you to come with a problem and not be able to think about how do I solve this problem. So the people who separate themselves in any organization are those who are able to embrace a problem and critically think about how do you begin to solve that problem. And there are many ways in which you can build your critical thinking abilities. The other one, which is underrated but is so important, is communication, both verbal and non-verbal communication. How do you communicate with people, both your colleagues at work, but also with external people? A lot of us forget that impression that I make with the communication could actually break or make the success of what it is that you're doing. I mean, you use communication skills at interviews, you use communication skills during so many different interactions. So communication is extremely, extremely important. And the last one, which I like, and I think more people are talking about this, is emotional intelligence. Is how do I actually understand how to act in various situations? So when I'm faced with high pressure, low pressure, normal pressure, how do I compose myself? Do I let external pressure dictate the things that I'm going to do or how I'm going to say them? Or am I able to put myself in a headspace where I'm actually calm? And regardless of the external pressure, and trust me, COVID-19 has given all of us a lot of external pressure. How do you actually understand your emotions, understand the emotions of other people around you, and make sure that you're able to collaborate effectively? So there's many, many more. But I think the first thing is to ask yourself, what do I have? What do I not have? And how do I need to learn those things?
All right, one last question, Molara. I wanted to ask, what do you see the world in 2030?
Sorry, say it again.
What do you see the world in 2030?
Where do I see the world, or where would I like to see the world in 2030? Which one should I answer?
Where do you see the world in 2030? So from your perspective, from your view, everything happening now, and you can also give us the positive side where you would like to see the world in 2030.
Okay, so where I see the world in 2030, and I think I will answer this from a new perspective now because of what has happened over the last couple of months, is a world where everybody, every individual has access and opportunities to become everything you can imagine. I think pre-COVID, access was somewhat limited, or access was perceived as limited because you almost felt like I had to get on a plane to hop and go to another country to be able to achieve something. But what this has shown us, and I think this is what we will begin to see in the next 30 years, is when I talked about boundaryless and borderless, you can actually begin to achieve phenomenal and amazing things. No longer will you no longer do you need to get on an 18-hour flight to go and have a meeting with someone. You can actually begin to do that virtually. So the world is going to become one truly global village, and you can truly begin to access many different types of opportunities. So now it's up to you as an individual whether you're going to embrace those opportunities and find how you're going to keep into them whilst achieving the SDGs. Because I think right now the SDGs are going to become even easier to achieve due to collaboration, due to partnership, due to the fact that borders are now more fluid. But we need to ask ourselves, are we ready for that? Are we ready to utilize technology? Let's not be like organizations who no longer exist because technology came and just disrupted the whole thing and just completely killed them. So that's the world where I see, the world that I would like to see is truly, in 2 words, I would say peace and happiness. A world where there is peace and there's happiness.
Thank you very much. Hi, Kyle. So you made a lot of emphasis on technology and digital media like how do you feel youth of today can actively utilize digital media to amplify voices and the efforts they currently make on different projects?
Okay, so thank you so much. I think if you talk about it, can because COVID happened. One thing that has become so unique and has really brought the agency of young people out so strongly is that within the demographic balance that we have all over the world, the only demographic that had control over this thing called communication are the young people. So the power really has been transferred to them. So just knowing how to now structure and how to actually deploy that power that has been given so much to the young people is really what I consider as one of the greatest responsibilities that we who think we know better need to actually help to make happen. I tell you what, many corporations, I don't want to mention names, who have not done very well, who are into telecoms, they've actually met their year-on-year, revenue like 3 times all the telecommunication companies, even the good and the bad ones. Why? Because everybody's talking. And I think more than ever before, communication in terms of organizational structure and business development has taken the lead. Right now, people talk more now to actually get things done. Whether you're talking about your daily scrum, if you are into Agile, or you're talking about the need to actually keep conversation going on. So I think young people need to realize that the power has now been given to them. So how can they make that happen? I'm working on a book. Let me do a little advertisement. It's called Youth Entrepreneurship Made Easy. And someone said, come on, I think you mean. I said, because every single thing is now content. All you need is a very compelling story to actually get all the funding you need. People used to say you are 4 people away from everybody. It's not true. You are just an intelligent tweet away from Barack Obama. Right.
I can actually relate to that. Because for one, I know that many people have gotten opportunities to just tweet or posting content. I think a reference to the Corridor Boys and getting the celebrity from Netflix and extraction because of the extraction video. Yeah. So of course, many youths have been utilizing digital media, videos, TikTok, and other platforms to amplify the voices of projects they're currently interested in. And that is absolutely right. I'd also like to ask, there's something about with great visibility also comes great responsibility. With the rise in security issues or people just being on their seat because of the fact that they are always posting this and that, how do you find a balance between, of course, amplifying voices of a project and still staying balanced when it comes to our daily lives? Because I feel that to an extent, technology might come to bridge the gap between human interactions, and I feel there's something we need to find a balance. How do you think you can actually do that?
Yeah, thank you so much. Like the statement normally says that power without control really is recklessness. And I think if there is anything we need to do with young people today, is the unleash, but at the same time, letting them realize that you are now responsible. What does that mean? One of the other skills that we said we're trying to project very strongly is the skill of resilience. Whether you like it or not, people need to be agile, people need to be more resilient. And one of that is to come to a point as a young person to realize that you are now in a position to be handled if you actually go beyond your boundary. And for crying out loud, what actually takes you out of your boundary really is not that productive. What really brings money, what really brings influence and fame, they are very well structured thoughts. And look at all the celebs today that you see who are doing very well, even on digital media platform. They're not the one that make noise and abuse government. That's the truth. You can have one tweet that goes viral and make you look as if you are smart. But before you know what's happening, go and check the hashtag. We follow them. Before you know what's happening, that hashtag will just go zoom, and that person will fizzle out, and it's not relevant. So what we're saying is, number one, you need to be visible. Number one, you need to be accountable. Visibility, accountability, relevance. Okay, that is the structure: visible, relevant, engaging, and accountability. So those are the key elements that we're telling young people. And the ability to master this is just like knowing how to eat balanced diet. So that your body your communication plan, can be a balanced one.
All right, thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Hello, Onola. Hi, Johnny. I'd like first of all to thank you for meeting over 1 minute. I know for one, I attended the event one time, and Johnny was there to discuss about financial work. And I realized that there are content materials for kids as young as 5 to learn about savings and utilizing different platforms to save, and of course develop an entrepreneurial spirit. How do you think this message can be spread abroad, across Nigeria? Because of course there are kids that are in several places that in certain locations that don't possibly have access to this information. How do you think can amplify the voices of institutes like this, and of course with decisions like the UGL service? How do you amplify different communities across Nigeria?
Thank you very much. I believe with the right type of partnerships, you can make anything happen. For us, we partner with the Ministry of Youth and Sports to, meet the specific need that you're asking for. We understand that there is no way Jan, no matter how big we get, can successfully cover the whole of Nigeria, and there's only one organization that can do that, and it's the Ministry of Youth and Sport through the NYSC. So we partner with the Ministry of Youth and Sports to galvanize the powers within the NYSC to reach all the schools across the country. It's not going to be easy, but we know that it's going to be very, very worth it. And what we notice is that as the youth corpus are teaching the students, they're also learning themselves. You cannot teach what you don't know. So we're teaching teachers who are going to teach young students who are then going to, become more financially responsible, become very more financially literate. Sometimes they can be the only ones that are financially literate in their families. And we also understand that across the school system, you notice that the biggest drop-off is between primary and secondary school. So it's important for us to start as early as 5 years old, which is around primary 1, primary 2, to teach these students the right skills that they need. It is our hope that they go on to secondary school and on to university, but even if they don't, do you have the right skills to, to help you wherever you drop off, to continue to become, to be a meaningful contributor to society. So entrepreneurship skills, work readiness skills, financial literacy, digital literacy. We can't emphasize enough how important these skills are. But with the right kinds of partners, with Youth Day of Service, with WAVE, with Mind the Gap, Teach for Nigeria, JAN, and so many other organizations that are doing amazing things, it can happen. It's not what you know, it's what you can do with a group of people exactly. So right collaboration to make anything happen, and that's where we're at.
One last question. I wanted to ask, what are your expectations for the Youth Day of Service event?
For me and for me having gone through a program as in secondary school that made me think more consciously about what I'm going to contribute to society. That's why I want the Youth Day of Service and the entire week to be for you to not think about what you're doing today, but what can you do in 5 years, what can you do in 10 years, and what can you start to do today to prepare for what's going to happen. I want to see an ongoing conversation, and I know that's exactly what we're going to see. An ongoing conversation about it's beyond the Youth Day of Service and the 1 week that Youth is monitoring the activities and programs or initiatives that are being started. But what happens after Youth Day of Service comes and goes? Are we going to wait till the next Youth Day of Service? What are the different organizations going to do to continue to engage people? What is the ministry going to do? They're already doing a lot. So how are we going to continue to take advantage of the generous support that we have from the ministry and from all the other organizations that are sitting around the table? It's not, I think it was Ty that said, or Femi, I'm not sure, but it's not about ideas, it's about action, and it's to just continue to see action, sustain action.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We're looking forward to Quantum League after this, and yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for you too.
All right, thank you so much, John, for leading the Q&A in-house. We have a few questions online, and one of the questions that's not been attended to is there seems to be a lot of focus on the SDGs. I'm not sure who will take this question or people online can do that. But then, what after 2030? What after 2030 happens to the development goals? So do you have any perspective, Kenny or Spalawe, on what you are thinking could be our position by that time?
So I remember when we had the NDG goals, and I remember when that was set, and I know the Nigeria signed up to that. And then the SDGs again, which is much more, when you look at it, it says the Sustainable Development Goals. So I don't know that the idea is for us to set, another, I'm sure, by 2030, we might set another goals, but I think the idea is really to have a sustainable world, right? To have a sustainable development. These are the actions that we need to sign up to towards that sustainable development. And I think, that is the idea of having those goals. I don't know that by 2030, I feel like by 2030, we ought to be reviewing all of the ways that we have worked towards achieving the 17 goals that we've all signed up to. So I don't know that I think it's to really jumpstart, and is to get action in from across the world, towards that sustainable world that we're all working towards. And if there's anyone else who wants to add to that, please go ahead. But I really think that it's just beginning to, it starts for us to begin that journey towards these sustainable goals. Femi, do you have any additions to that?
I think Amy should respond now.
Okay.
Thank you, Falawe.
Yes, just as Falawe has said, yes, I hope I got that right, Falawe. Everything we do needs to be, as much as there's a whole lot of things to be done, and we wish we could do everything in one day, but we can't. So everything needs to be put into different phases and in different blocks. So we're currently working on this particular phase or this particular block. We see how much we're able to achieve within the next 10 years, and then we can now evaluate. We have a look at everything that we've done so far over the last 10 years, over the last 10 years before, and then we can now plan, because, take for instance, if we know poverty can't be solved, but we're definitely, working to decrease it. So say, for instance, we've brought poverty to a wonderful level within the next 10 years. Then we have to work on, okay, how do we sustain those that are working at the time? So it's no longer bringing them out of poverty. It's now about sustaining them being out of that poverty. So, whatever it is that we're doing in life, at every particular stage, we look back at what we have done, and then we see what needs to be interjected at that stage, and which trajectory do we need to begin to go along? Do we still go along, where we were going before? And if we're going exactly along where we were going before, then it means we haven't made any impact. It means what we've been doing over the last 10 years was gobbledygook, for lack of a better word. So what we're aiming for, what we're hoping for, and what needs to happen is that in the next 10 years, we change focus. In the next 10 years, we're looking at how do we sustain what we've been able to achieve. So we're no longer thinking to achieve, we're now looking to sustain what we've achieved. So, what that just means in a nutshell is definitely, every so often our goals need to change, or the priority of our goals need to change. So definitely, once we reach that reevaluation stage, those priorities will change. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kemi. Do we have any reaction to that particular question?
Yeah, I think for me, if we look at the world as an organization, a lot of us here, we have strategic goals, we have OKRs, we have KPIs, and that's essentially what the MDGs and the SDGs are. So as we get to this is our 10-year goal. When we get to 10 years, before we even get to 10 years, we're going to look at what we achieved. Do we hit our OKRs and our KPIs? So this is what we're doing. It's technically like the KPI towards hitting the bigger goal. So we're going to look at maybe year 8, and with different organizations, different people have been monitoring the movement towards the SDGs. Look at year 8. So what have we achieved, and what are we looking at for the next the next decade? We're never not going to have some sort of goal that we're working towards. If we don't, it's going to be like because there's just nothing. There's no anchor. Like we will find organizations in development space like us without focus, because we don't know what exactly it is that we're trying to work towards. So we're never going to do it with these sorts of goals. They're just going to continue to shift and change depending on the time and season we find ourselves. I think just looking at the name, sustainable development goals, right? It's meant to be sustainable, and there's no end date to sustainability. So I think if you look at 2020 not as a end line, rather than you have to take stock at some point, like everybody has said, and that's the way that I sort of look at it. So what happens is at the end of 2030, it's almost like the world comes together to say, now this is our report card. What have we achieved? I don't know that the goals are going to necessarily change, because these are the goals that are important to us globally and will continue to be important. But it might just be, and I think as Kemi said, the way we tackle them now becomes completely different. It might be, when we think about poverty now, we're thinking about how we get food to people. You might no longer be, only God knows how food will be in the next 10 years, or how you deliver food to people, or how you get people access. So I think rather than look at 2030 as an end date, let us just look at it as the name suggests, sustainability. And sustainability is long-term, is forever. It would transcend us, our children, our children's children. It will just continue. just continue to be there. So it's not a full stop. 2030 is not a full stop, it's a comma. And then so what? And then we kind of move on.
Okay, let me just a little thought. I think the other part of it is if you look at MDGs, for example, just in terms of some of the technical issues now, MDGs were meant to be like a qualitative set of goals. When it was set, then it was just like a broader, let's go at it. Because MDG was the first time ever that the world was able to articulate a very compelling goal for the whole world. Before the UN system used to just have pockets of UNICEF is doing their own, everybody was doing, but this one now brought everybody together. So, okay, this is an overall goal. Then the MDG, I think there was too much of like African focus, MDG, because I happened to get out of my job too. MDG got me out of my place. So but when the conversation about the SDG started, so I think the high point of it was that we need to move from quantitative to now looking at qualitative. So another element of all those goals, just like what Kenny said, came into form. So what I see, like just everybody has said, is I see when we get there. For example, there are some of the goals of the Goal 17, they were targets inside the MDGs that has now become a standalone goals. So it's going to be an evolving kind of way of solving our problem. Just like when you're in secondary school, the problem you wanted to say was to get to university. When you get to university, you want to get a first class, you want to get a job, you want to get married. So it's going to be like, come on. So, but the joy of it all is that there is a central agenda that the whole world is looking onto. And one of the things I hope that's going to happen, with this SDG actually is ownership. Because that's one thing that has not been able to happen, which I'm hoping programs like, Youth Day of Action will help to. So everyone can own an MDG, one goal. What is your personal goal? So I ask you which one of these my SDG, the program we run, what's my own SDG? Which one connect to my career? So it's not a UN agenda. It's my personal career. So it's great.
I like what Tayo said, and I'm just going to ask. I don't know.
There are two more questions.
There are two more questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead.
So the first question is to you, and of course, I think what you say would also help the panelists to chip in or another thought that is different. Essentially, they are asking how many volunteers will be deployed, in which cities that this project is going to take place, just to get a robust idea of how global, how widespread it is. And then we move on to Kemi. There's a question for her.
All right. Okay, so like I said, we set very low hanging goals for this first expression of the Youth Day of Service, and given the COVID-19 situation. In fact, we initially paused that we're not going to launch this year, but we changed our minds like a month ago that, let's just go ahead with it. So we set very low hanging fruit. At the beginning of that, we said that we wanted to have at least 100 projects spread across Nigeria and have at least 1,000 people, volunteering on those projects. Now we're quite selective on projects, and we're also quite selective on number of volunteers, as it were. So to answer the question directly, we already are moving above 50 projects and counting that are registered on the platform. We are still screening some projects that have been registered before we allow them to go on the platform. Well, it seems we're going to have well over more than 1,000 people participating already, because we're already nearing that number in terms of the commitments on ground and the commitments from different organizations. And we already have projects registered across Nigeria. We have projects in Akwa Ibom, in Abuja, in Kano, in Kwara, in Lagos, and in Bauchi. We already have projects spread across different parts of Nigeria, and many more projects are actually racing in. The deadline, we set an initial deadline for projects to be registered on the platform for next Monday night, which is the 10th, if I'm not mistaken, or 11th. And we are allowed till Tuesday for projects to be registered. So that just gives you a sense of how projects are spread all across Nigeria. And I mean, there are a lot of activities that have gone on in the last 24 hours, including this press conference, and many, many more activities are going to be going on to bring visibility to this work and to this Youth Day of Service, starting from now, actually. So we're having a series of Insta Live sessions with different organizations that are championing projects, with different other youth-led organizations, to speak about the work they are doing on that day. We're going to be doing massive promotion on social media, even much more than what we've been doing before. So we see more projects being registered on the platform across different parts of Nigeria. Yeah. And to answer that question, let me answer from another angle. The vision for this is that, you see, this is not a Leap Africa project. This is this project actually is under a pillar we call ecosystem building work in Leap Africa. It's a way to rally the ecosystem towards doing something. Now, the SDG is probably one of the most unifying forces for the development sector, right? So the duty of service or youth for SDGs is just following that same pattern. So the way we see this is we're going to be having these implementing organizations and many other implementing organizations working together. Obviously, next year we're going to start way earlier. We're going to have representatives of this organization forming the advisory group and representatives of the ministry forming the advisory group for this project. And I mean, the campaign and the effort will start even earlier and will even be grand and even bigger and be more pronounced, as it were. So that just gives a sense of what it's going to be. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Femi. So there's a question for Kemi. Kemi, if you can still hear us, please go.
All right. Can I speak? Yeah. All right. So I wanted to ask Kemi how we can consciously and hello, Kemi.
Hi.
So hi. I'd like to ask how we can collectively create enabling environments for youth across Nigeria to thrive. And the second question is, so we've dwelt heavily on collaboration and coming together to make the dream work. But I wanted to know what are the moves the government is currently taking to serve as a unifying platform for everyone? So like collective goals are currently in place, but what are the steps taken to create a unifying effort? So it's more like a coalition that strikes at once, a snowball effect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So about creating an enabling environment, if you've been following a bit of the media recently, you'll see that this time around, the Ministry of Youth and Sports is very, very busy. We're busy trying to understand exactly what our young people need and trying to put that in place for them. So that's the enabling environment of which you speak. Conversations with the young people over the years have generated a response of funds being the major issue for young persons to excel. Funds being one of them, support sometimes is not just financial, but support also comes from the training side of things. The lack of skills. The world as we know it is evolving, especially in the digital space. I'm well aware that those who studied MBAs 20 years ago, or those who studied certain courses 20 years ago, I'll speak on MBA itself because that's an area that I'm very, very familiar with. They didn't study Facebook in their MBA, or they didn't study Twitter in their MBA, but now that is a thing that we are studying in classrooms. So what we're trying to understand is the fact that the education sector, just as the gentleman said earlier on, we're not saying don't get your BScs or don't get your bachelor's in engineering or whatever it is. They are very, very important. But as well, you also need that added advantage. So you need an addition onto what it is that you already have. So it's those added advantage skills that the ministry is trying to put in place for our young people. So in the area of funds, we have started collaborations with the CBN, we've started collaborations with Africa Development Bank and many other organizations to ensure that our young people get the necessary funding. And that is why we've started the Nigeria Youth Investment Fund. It's been approved, but we haven't obviously started disbursement of funds. That will begin October. We'll start taking applications from September. So we're looking at what the problems are and beginning to address them one by one. So our youth need upskilling in certain areas, we're working towards that. They need funding, we're working towards that. They need ease of doing business. They need situations where registration, getting loans in the past, if you don't have collateral, it's a problem. But we've been able to mitigate that particular problem and find solutions. So with respect to creating an enabling environment, we're listening, we're finding out what the young people's problems are, and we're trying to solve them. We're going as high as it is to ensure that something is done for our young people. And and it actually gets to them, because that's another one of the problem, where there are particular schemes that are put in place and it doesn't actually get to the people that need them. There are particular projects, you know, in different constituencies, but they don't get to the people that need them. So that's why we've got the things like what I've just said, the DEAL initiative, the Nigeria Youth Investment Fund, to actually trickle down to where it is needed. That is the infrastructure that we basically need to put in place, and that is the framework itself to ensure that what's needed gets to where it's needed. That's one. And then with regards to collaborations, we can't do it alone. There's no way, you know, as we've said earlier, we are trying to collaborate with everyone we see that's tried and tested, has a good record, we can see has integrity, and of course speaks for what is. We're open to receiving letters of collaboration, and not say most, all the letters we receive, we treat. And those that we feel we can collaborate with immediately, we call them in immediately for meetings to start the immediate collaboration. Those that we feel might be a bit midterm or long term, or it's something that, you know, the collaboration is not about now, we do let them know that we're keeping it in view and we will get back to them. So we are open to collaborations. We want everyone to know that. We want them to go on, and that's why we've created this aggregator website, because we are aware that the kind of initiatives that we have, the ministry's website cannot handle it. So we've created the aggregator website where organizations such as yourself can come together. We haven't actually got the chat rooms up yet, but we will get it up, can come together and have discussions on that website, as well as having our young people have conversations on that website. All the possible initiatives, all the possible opportunities, scholarships, service opportunities, volunteer opportunities, name it, whatever it is that is available to the Nigerian youth, whether within Nigeria or international, we want them to know about it. So, and like I said, we can't do it alone. So we've got the website up there. We've gone through the virtual side, the digital side, and we're also appealing to organizations such as yourself to ensure that you carry the message, and not only the message, but the vision of ensuring that no young person is left behind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Kemi. This is what trying to wrap up the press conference today. Kemi, again, I'll come back to you for your last word so we can sign you out if you really need to go at 12:30, and then I'm coming back to the panel. Thank you. Kemi, did you hear me? If you heard me, I just want to take your last remarks, and then we can close up.
Sorry, okay, so you just want my final words?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm delighted to be here representing the minister. I know he would have loved to be here himself, but as we know, due to circumstances beyond his control, I do love the deliberations that we've had here today. I've got a better understanding of what the Youth Day of Service stands for, and I will ensure that that is carried to the young persons that are under our purview. I'll ensure that all the messages from this meeting, from this press briefing, are carried along to the Honorable Minister, who will be joining us, I believe it's next week, Tuesday, if I'm correct, yes? Who'll be joining us next week, Tuesday. Well done to everyone on the panel. Well done to everyone listening in. We have to do this together. The togetherness is the key point. So I think if I'm going to leave with any word, we know that where Nigeria is now is we need to create jobs in order to create wealth, in order for Nigeria to continue to grow. That's just where we're at now. There's no other, whatever it is that we're doing, it just needs to center around creating jobs and creating wealth for Nigerians to survive on their own. So where we're at now is everyone on this call, everyone that gets this message, togetherness. We need to come together to do it together. Each and every one of us is part of a larger ecosystem, and we need to ensure that we give everything we can into that ecosystem for the ecosystem to collectively become something that we will be proud of in the future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Kemi. Thank you so much. I'm going to start from my left. Your last words.
I just want to write on what Kemi had said. Togetherness, we can't do it alone. We reached 1 million not by ourselves. We had lots and lots of help over the past 20 years. And I know if we all work together, we can reach 1 million in 5 years or 20 years again. So together.
Thank you, Tola.
Yeah, I think the words are spoken for itself. We have 69 million Nigerian youth. over 24 million of them unemployed or underemployed. And the job we need to do right now is to structure these guys. If we're able to like kind of through these kind of platforms, really help to structure them and let them realize that what you want to do is this, you have the support. The minister has got over 75 billion in the next 3 years to support you. So you cannot say you don't have an opportunity. So it's to get them out, follow what this administration is doing, and to actually find their own voice.
Thank you so much, Tayo. Femi.
All right. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you to the Honorable the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, the Honorable Minister, and ably represented by Penny SA for ICT and corporate communications. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you to the press here on ground and to those who are virtual. Thank you to my colleagues, Junior Achievement Nigeria, Mind the Gap, Teach for Nigeria, Wait, and others on the call. And thank you to the general public that is watching right now live and will be watching on other media platforms later today or tomorrow. I think the key word is we are the ones we've been waiting for, and we being the key word. We being the key word. We need to put our hands, our heads, our hearts together and really move the mountain, the wicked problems, the social change that we want to see, and really move it and advance it. So I think that's the ethos on which this unity of service stands on, and that's one principle that we're going to be working with moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Molade.
Okay, so I'm going to end with a proverb that I started with, which says, if you want to go fast, go low. If you want to go far, go together. And I think that's the ethos of everything that we're doing here. And just to charge everybody watching this to say that you can become everything that you imagine. The world is really, but it's not a cliche when you say the world is your oyster. You can truly become everything you imagine. The opportunities are back. Now you need to ask yourself if you're going to embrace those opportunities or if you're going to just sit by and watch life go by. Be the change that you want to see, as Femi has said. Don't wait for somebody else to be that change. You be the change that you want to see. And I think, again, together, we can achieve so much more.
Thank you, Molade. Last words from you, Falawe. We want to take your last remarks.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to close with a very short story. I'll make it as short as possible. But this story, I heard it from Wangari Maathai, and this was a story that she told about a burning forest. And this forest was burning so badly that the entire, habitat, all the animals in this habitat were running out, from the elephants to the lions and to the tigers. And everybody was just watching this forest burn down. And a bird, the hummingbird, and for those of you who know biology, it's one of the smallest species of birds. And that bird was going back and forth, and it was going to a river to pick water and dropping this water over the burning forest. And you can imagine how thin the beak of that bird was, but it was still going back and forth. And the other animals stood and they asked him, "What do you think you're doing?" And he said, "I'm doing the best that I can do." And he just went back and forth, and every other person was there looking helpless. Now, the reason why I shared this story is we're currently in a world where the world is burning now. And if there's anything that I've recognized, it's what all the speakers have shared. And it's the fact that there is no single solution. There's no one person that can solve this. And we need a coalition of effort and action towards addressing all the different issues that we're facing in our world and in our nation and on our continent. And if there's anything, it's not at this table, it's not in these spaces, it's not on this webinars that we're going to solve the issues, but it's within communities. So if there's anything that I'm going to leave with is, how do we take this beyond here? Like, how do we ensure that we reach every young Nigerian and every youth to galvanize their efforts towards addressing all of the issues facing our continent and our nation? Again, thank you very much, Leap Africa, for this opportunity, and thank you to everyone for being part of this event.
Thank you, Falawe, for the very final words from our panelists. It's been an honor hosting you all today. Thank you for the super charge from you, from Kemi, who's representing the Federal Minister of Youth and Sports Development. Thank you for being with us from the beginning to the end. This is really amazing. And to my esteemed panel today, I'm very grateful to all of you who are here. As you all know, all of you watching us live and will be watching us soon enough, this is not the entire collaborator working with us for the Youth Day of Service. We have many more people, agencies, PR companies, and people who have been in meetings with us for the last 2 months who have been speaking with us to see how best they can sign up. And so we are grateful to everyone who is a collaborator, a partner, a funder at this time, and those who will sign up. I am thankful to all the volunteers that Femi has sort of shared a bit about regarding how they are going to support us on this day and in that way. And those who are going to sign up, those who have given their resources, we are very grateful to you. I must also thank the Board of LEAP Africa, who are solidly behind us on this journey. They are our biggest champion and advocate for this initiative. And so we couldn't have come this far without them. I'm very grateful to every other person who I cannot mention now, like Yedi, Opportunity Desk, Soulcoms, all the PR and partner organizations that are signed up right now. If you want to see our full list, please log on to www.ydl.leapafrica.org. We have so many campaigns running right now live, and you might also find opportunity to connect with us beyond the portal that we've listed. Our doors are open for as many people who still want to join us or sign up. We are very, very grateful to you all at this time. Thank you, and it's out.
Guys, thank you so much.
Bye.
Should we sit down or stand up?
No, you stand.
You want to post immediately, right? Sharon can help you. You shouldn't take this picture so you can show back end. We should move the chair, right?